This meeting to order. Welcome to meeting number 74 of the House of Commons Standing Committee on Government Operations and Estimates, also known as the mighty OGGO, the only committee that matters. If you're watching at home on CPAC, I hope you will hit like and subscribe. Pursuant to order of reference adopted by the House of Commons Wednesday, February 15th, 2023, the committee is meeting for clause-by-clause consideration of Bill C-290, an act to amend the Public Servants Disclosure Act. A reminder to everyone to please keep your earpieces next to the microphone as it causes feedback, or not to keep them near the microphone causes feedback. Quickly, colleagues, I'm going to seek unanimous consent for the proposed budget of $29.50 for the study of the certificate of the nomination for the Public Sector Integrity Commissioner. As always, that budget is the upper limit. It does not mean we'll spend probably any of it, more than some coffee and a few other items. Can we have consent, unanimous consent for the budget? Wonderful. Thank you very much. We will resume clause by clause. Consideration Bill C-290 on the amendment G12, clause 42. Now, resuming debate on G12. Ms. Vinola, I understand you had a sub-amendment. You've given the printed copy to our legislative clerks. And you have it,
Donc,
clerk? No?
la version imprimée.
The printed, or rather digital, version has been sent out, and it is exactly what we spoke about yesterday. We said that there would be a 6-month delay for royal assent of this bill. That means more or less next September. With the Senate study and so on, I think that that's quite reasonable. That's the only thing that would be modified in G12. It's the delay.
Mr. Housefather.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair, and I'm sure after my exciting explanation of G12, you will have more subscribers on CPAC than ever before. I wasn't sure it had gotten moved yet because I thought we ended with the vote on G11, but I'll both speak to Ms. Vignola's amendment and explain why G12 is as it is. Premièrement, j'étais très sensible à...
I, of course, am very empathetic to Ms. Vignola's sentiment yesterday. That's why I voted against G11, because we never know when this will come into effect.
We have certainty, which says that it comes into effect 2 years after the date of royal assent. So regardless of what happens, we know when it comes into effect. And the reason for the original proposal of 2 years versus the 6 months was the amount of time that it was estimated to develop the regulations, to put the policy into effect, and to train people. So, Mr. Chair, if it's okay, I'd like to pose a question to the officials to ask them whether 2 years is a legitimate time and whether 6 months is a legitimate time, and whether they have comments about how long they believe it will take before the law can be properly put into effect. So if it's okay, Mr. Chair, that's a question to the officials.
Yep. Just before Ms. LaRoche, Ms. Stevens, before you start, you should all have the proposed sub-amendment in your P9s by now. Please go ahead, ladies.
Okay, merci beaucoup pour la question. Bonjour à...
Thank you for the question. With regards to the 6 months, to start off, I'll talk about the 2 dates. 6 months feels very tight to us, very, very tight to us. Some of the work will be done before the royal assent, but we won't know how the bill will be turn out before it passes in the House.
Mention a few of them. So you have approved new definitions in terms of wrongdoing. So in terms of abuse of authority, political interference, and foreign interference. So these are to be defined in regulation. So we need to consult, define, and as you know, as part of the regulatory process, there is consultation that typically occur, and that typically takes about a year, if not more, in terms of doing that. We've also, through this committee, defined that the Treasury Board has to develop some new policies in terms of internal disclosure process. So again, development, consultation, and approval of those by TB. Third, the tribunal, as you know, is now going to be receiving directly complaints of reprisals from civil servants, and they'll have to assess their processes, and they'll have to define whether there's new functions, such as conducting investigations prior to going to the actual, in order to be able to call or to make a decision on the case in front of them, and that takes time and maybe, as we discussed, potentially additional resources. We've also agreed that you have also approved that more people can actually get disclosures from public servants. So we'll need to be able to develop the training, train the people, make sure that senior officials that are already in place know about the changes that are coming. And we'll have to also make sure that we have the proper awareness material for all civil servants to be able to know what are the changes, where they need to go, if they're over, and how they can be supported if they wish to do a disclosure. And finally, just in terms of the piece that we discussed yesterday, in terms of data collection for the PSIC, if we were to do this in 6 months, they most likely will not have the time to define their questions, put their questionnaires in, get the data, analyze it for their next annual report, so they would be in breach of the law with 6 months, depending on when it happens and the timing of the tabling of the annual report. So that could be a problem from them as well. So for all these reasons, we think that 6 months would not be enough, in our view, in terms of doing a proper job to be able to make sure that the law is adequately kind of implemented, and that we would require longer time. Thank you.
Rapidement, j'aurais également...
I do have a question as well. 6 months after the adoption, which would be about 18 months from today when we count the study and the third reading in the Senate. If we were to say 12 months after the bill passes, would that be more reasonable? That would mean 24 months from now. That would certainly be more reasonable than 6 months. That said, it also depends on the evolution of the bill in the chamber. There might be some changes, and we have to know what those will be. It doesn't mean that we will be able to start earlier. There are processes, for example, the regulatory process that is fixed, and we don't have any control over that. It's certainly better, however, than 6 months, but I think it would still be a little bit tight with respect to certain factors.
Je vais retirer le 6 mois.
I will take out the 6 months, but in the interest of the public servants, I will suggest a first anniversary, so royal assent after the first year of the adoption of the bill, and I suggest that we go ahead with a second motion of 1 year, if my colleagues agree.
Unanimous consent for you to withdraw the first sub-amendment at 6 months. I see that we have unanimous consent to withdraw that. Do you have it in writing, the second sub-amendment? Great. It has been emailed to everyone, so we're now on same wording of the sub-amendment, but for 1 year. Mr. Housefather?
Merci, Monsieur le Président.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I appreciate that my colleague is suggesting 1 year instead of 6 months. However, I don't have the experience that the witness has. I understand that the process of making laws and doing consultations takes a year, and we can't start that process before the Senate adopts it and before there's royal assent. So if we want to listen to the expert, I think that 12 months also seems too short, and I prefer to stay with the 2 years, and so I will vote against the sub-amendment. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thanks. Ms. Finola, did you have something else?
Rapidement,
Well, for the interest of the public servants, I did things a little bit differently. I tried to be compromising. I think that the bill could be applied more quickly. We're talking about 24 months from now. I feel that we can increase the time, but let's avoid that. So I will call for a vote if my colleagues agree to just move on.
Ready to vote, colleagues? Shall G12. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Apologize. The sub-amendment to G12. Shall that carry? We'll do recorded vote.
On Madame Vignola's sub-amendment, Mr. Housefather,
Against.
Mr. Baines,
Against.
Mr. Chouari,
Against.
Mr. Kuzmirchik,
Against.
Ms. Thompson,
Against.
Mr. Barrett, Ms. Block,
yes.
Mr. Lawrence,
Yay.
Madame Vignola,
Oui.
Mr. Johns.
Yes.
5 yeas, 5 nays.
I will say yes.
Thank you, sir. 6 yeas, 5 nays.
Now shall G12 carry as amended? Recorded vote. Oh, Mr. Kuzmirchuk, your hand is up.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if I can just speak to this amendment.
G12
So
amended.
yes, the amended. So my thank you, Mr. Chair, and I appreciate the sentiment around the table wanting to get this enacted as quickly as we possibly can. I think there's an urgency here that we all, I think, recognize. But I think the concern here, and it's one that was expressed by the officials, is that we are in essence, the danger or the risk here is that in essence, we will have a half-baked policy or a half-baked process in place. And to me, that represents a significant danger. That represents a risk. And that is a significant risk when you consider how delicate and sensitive the issue that we're discussing here, private information, cases that are being brought forward, concerns, disclosures. And we want to make sure that if we're going to do this, that it's going to be done correctly. And so what I just wanted to humbly flag for the committee members here is what we agreed to with the amended clause is, again, the danger there because it's being rushed. And again, we heard from the officials that it will be implemented without having all the I's dotted, T's crossed. And that could have significant repercussions on the people that we are trying to protect. And so I wanted to flag that risk because I think that the risk is altogether real. And so again, they need to balance the urgency, wanting to get this legislation into practice, but at the same time being careful to make sure that again all the T's are crossed, all the I's are dotted, and so that we actually do the thing that we want to do, which is protect the people that have the courage to step forward. So again, I don't want to belabor the point here, but I really just wanted to raise that as a genuine concern. And I'm not sure, listening to what the officials had said, that we in fact, with this amended clause, that we had actually struck that balance correctly.
Thanks. Are we ready to vote now, colleagues? Recorded vote? Go ahead. Shall G12 carry as amended?
On G12, Mr. Housefather,
Yes.
Mr. Baines, Mr. Jawari,
Yes.
Mr. Kazmierczyk,
With trepidation, yes.
Ms. Thompson,
Yes.
Mr. Barrett, Ms. Bloch,
Yes.
Ms. Kuzi,
Yes.
Madame Vignola,
Oui.
Mr. Johns.
Yes.
Thank you very much. 11 yeas.
Thank you. G12 carries as amended. We're on Lib 12, but since Lib 7, which is page 21.1 of your handout, was withdrawn, Amendment Lib 12 cannot be moved since it refers to subsection 12.2 that would have been created by Lib 7. So therefore, Lib 12 is eliminated. We're now on to our couple clauses that stood clauses that we're getting back to. We're on clause 10, NDP 9. Now, it had been moved, but I understand Mr. Johns was going to withdraw it. So we do need UC to withdraw NDP 9. We have that? Wonderful. So we are now on G6, which is page 25 of the package. Mr. Housefather, you're speaking to this? Sorry, Mr. Jory?
Yes.
Mr. Chair?
Oh.
I'm so
Jory is
sorry.
speaking first. Can you hold on one moment, Mr.
Of course, I wanted to go back to your question about Lib 12, though.
Yes, that's okay. Go ahead. Go ahead, Mr. Osfather.
Go ahead.
Mr. Chair, I'm confused as to the reason for ruling Lib 12 out of order. If somehow you're ruling that there was with Lib 7 was defeated and that's what added the reference to 12.2. I'm not quite sure if that's the case. Then why would we not just remove the words under subsection 12.2 and just say if a matter is referred to the commission under 24.2.1? I'm just confused. I'm confused as to your rationale for why this is out of order. So if you wouldn't mind explaining it, sir.
Thanks, Mr. Housefather. I will refer to our legislative clerks who will have a better answer than me.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. 12.2, so in Lib 12, I'll start there. It is indicated if a matter, I shouldn't actually read it, but 12.2 is referenced in Lib 12. 12.2 would have been created by Lib 7, which was withdrawn. And to go back to your question, Mr. Housefather, if I may, even if you were to remove that from the current Lib 12, 24.2.1 already exists in the Parent Act as it is written without the 12.2 reference. Does that answer your question by any chance?
That certainly would answer my question if the only thing being added is 12.2 and Lib 7 was withdrawn. I just turned to Mr. Johari because it would have been him that withdrew it. But thank you so much for that explanation.
So I call Lib 7 was pulled. However, this one is referring to, well, I'll at least read it, that in Bill C-290 be amended. No, Lib 12.
Lib 12? Okay.
Okay, so there's a reference made. If a matter is referred to the commissioner under subsection 12.2 or 24.2.1, the Public Service Disclosure Protection Act, the commissioner shall. So even if you remove 12.2, the 24.21, it's still, and you're telling me the 24.2.1 is actually covering this?
Yeah. Just a moment, Mr. Shawari.
No worries.
We're going to suspend for a couple seconds because our legislative clerks wish to address this with the officials. Thank you for bearing with us. A bit of a procedural issue. 12, Lib 12 is out of order due to I guess, a typo. Mr. Jouari was kind enough is going to drop an amendment, table drop an amendment, which is almost identical. We're going to call it 12.1. If you would read it in, and just please, as you do, highlight the specific change from Lib 12 so people can follow along. And when Mr. Jouari is done with that, we will open up for debate. Mr. Jouari.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to move Lib 12.1, and it reads as follows: that the bill C29 be amended by adding after line 14 on page 12 the following new clause. 42, the portion of the section 68 of the Conflict Interest Act before paragraph A is replaced by the following. 68, if a matter is referred to the Commissioner under subsection 12.1-1, which replaces 12-2 or 24-2.1 of the Public Servant Disclosure Protection Act, the Commissioner shall. And on my reasoning for this is, what we want to do, we want to make sure that we allow the Ethics Commissioner to receive protected referrals from departments under PSDPA instead of only from PSIC. So we're just making sure that they can be received more. And that's it. Thank you.
I sense a question, Ms. Vignola.
Yes, quickly. Oui.
Yes. Section 12, or clause 12, rather. 12.2? Is that what we're talking about in the amendment? 12.2 or 24.21?
Basically a fix to a single number, a single reference number. So it is identical in all ways, basically, to Lib 12.
So if you look at Lib 12, because we had made a mistake by typing 12-2, that mistake caused the Lib 2 to be thrown out. Therefore, I had to remove and to move a new one, which is called 2.1. And all we are doing, we are replacing 12-2 with the appropriate clause, which is 12.1-1. That's it. And the legislative clerk seen it, and if you want, we can have more debate on it. But I think that's just basically expand and protect, and it allows other people from other departments to be able to receive it. That's it.
Mr. Housefather? You're on mute, as much as we enjoy that, but you're still not hearing you, Mr. Housefather.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, thank you.
Hi, Faye. Sorry about that. But giving more ammunition to CPAC, try to make it exciting. Donc, je dois juste expliquer pour Madame Vignola. Dans le J 4.4, on a additionné une section dans la...
Just one moment, Mr. Housefather. We're having a bit of audio problems with you.
Sorry.
Okay.
Mais Anthony, tout va bien, j'ai compris. Là.
OK, merci.
Okay, go ahead.
I did understand.
Basically, it just allows for, if a department sends something to the ethics commissioner, that the disclosure is protected, and it's not currently protected under the Act if it comes from the department. And that's the goal, to make sure that all disclosures, even if coming from the department to the ethics commissioner, are also included. Thank you.
Shall 12.1 carry? On division. Okay, colleagues, we are back onto the stood clauses, which is clause 10. Where we got a bit ahead of ourselves. As mentioned, we'll go back and ask UC again for withdrawal of NDP 9. Yes, thank you. We're now on clause G6. Mr. Housefather, were you addressing that one? You're muted again, Mr. Housefather.
I'm so sorry, Mr. Chair. Basically, G6 is meant to reverse the removal of the prohibition of starting a different proceeding under a different act for reprisal. It would prevent overlap with other recourse mechanisms for reprisals that could allow for multiple processes being conducted on the same issues by different administrative bodies with differing mandate and objectives. And in my view, that would waste resources and create inconsistent determinations and different remedies. So basically, coming back to this would basically say you would basically have to go through one recourse mechanism for reprisals. And I think that is a more it's a better way to do it, and that's the purpose of G6. Thanks, Mr. Chair, and sorry about my microphone.
Thank you. Ms. Vignola?
Je comprends les...
I understand my colleagues' concerns in the not the previous meeting, but the one before when we talked about G6. Our position is to ensure that the public servant is not restricted in their possibilities, and if they talk to their union and it takes very long before the grievance is treated, that the public servant be allowed to use other measures and vice versa. So it's a protection measure, and for G6 we will not come to an agreement.
Mr. Johns?
We're in the same as in terms of the Ms. Vignola, in the sense that you know, it's 19.14 says that filing a complaint of reprisal precludes workers from seeking any other procedure remedy for the same act of reprisal. And the commissioner and tribunal are not perfect, and in many cases are far from effective. Their processes also often take years. So there are many situations in which a disclosure may need to also seek another method of recourse for example grievance, and they should be able to do so without waiting years for one process to come to complete before that it wouldn't be realistic. So different processes are available because of these situations are complex and require multifaceted resolutions. So we'll also be opposed to this.
Mr. Housefather, and then Mr. Kuzmierczuk.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just think in common sense, right, when you're taking an action before one administrative tribunal, you're not supposed to have parties take actions before multiple different administrative tribunals at the same time. And the reason is simple. You'll have contradictory decisions, and you'll have, you know, all kinds of flaws in terms of resources, because you would have to put resources in front of 2 or 3 tribunals instead of 1. In my view, you know, just like if you launch a court action, you were going to not launch it in front of the Court of Appeals and the Superior Court and the Court of Quebec at the same time. You wouldn't be allowed to do that. It would create unreasonable bureaucracy. It would also cause time delays in all three different judges having to deal with the same issue. It just doesn't make logical sense to me. So I do believe the line should be deleted. And again, I would call upon common sense from my colleagues that this makes sense to not have alternative mechanisms. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, Mr. Kuzmierczuk, before I go to you, I'm sensing the Conservative side is probably supporting this. I'm wondering perhaps we could skip over you and we can get to a vote. Was that fine, Mr. Kuzmierczuk?
Perfectly okay with me.
Are you fine?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
We would support that. Thank you, Chair.
Thanks. Why don't we just go to a recorded vote, please? Shall G6 carry? G6 is carried on division. Shall Clause 10 carry as amended? Yes. On division. Okay, we're now on to resuming debate on Clause 38. Ms. Vignola?
Excusez-moi. On devait pas avoir un vote.
Weren't we supposed to have a recorded vote on G6?
I had people saying on division. I did not hear from anyone else. Sorry. We can go back to recorded vote. So fine, colleagues, we'll do a recorded vote on G6.
Okay.
Madam Clerk?
Yes, sir. On G6, Mr. Housefather,
In favor.
Mr. Baines,
Yes.
Mr. Juari,
En favor.
Mr. Kazmirchik,
Support.
Ms. Thompson,
Support.
Mr. Barrett, Ms. Block,
Yes.
Ms. Kuzi,
In favor.
Madame Vignola, Mr. Johns.
No.
8 yeas, 2 nays.
Okay. Colleagues, thank you, and I apologize. G6 carries. And, yeah. And Clause 10, we, as amended, would you like a recorded vote, or can we do that on division? We'll do, Clause 10 carry as amended on division. Thank you. We are now back to Clause 38, resuming debate. Ms. Vignola, you had a sub-amendment. Sorry, an amendment on that one. Apologies.
Oui, nous donc.
Indeed. During our discussions yesterday, we brought up that it would be quite surprising that a person accused of having committed a reprehensible act would allow for somebody to reveal their name. So, with all due respect, and according to the...
Our legislative clerks have
Oh.
it, but the rest of us
T'étais
don't.
pas avec les deux autres?
Was it not with the two others?
We'll send it out to the
Oui.
P9s.
Donc, pour résumer, excusez-moi, je vais vous l'envoyer immédiatement. Pour résumer,
I will send it to you right now. So this goes hand in hand with what we said yesterday. It won't be much longer. It's not this one. So, with what we said yesterday, my goodness, the fact that somebody who is accused would not allow for their name to be revealed in any way. So this amendment that I'm proposing, which I'm trying to find right now, is to take that part out of Clause 38. It won't be long. I'm almost there. And here we are. It is transferred, sent to Ms. Belmar. Done. So I will read it to you while I wait for all of you to get it. C290 Clause 38 should be modified by substitution lines 15 to 17, page 11 for what it follows. Of the person...
Clause 38 be amended by replacing lines 15 to 18 on page 11 with the following. Disclose the identity of a person making a disclosure and of a witness with the consent of that person. On a retiré l'aspect qui était problématique au départ.
We removed what was problematic.
Si, comme amendement.
I think it's a very nice amendment.
Can we vote on the amendment, colleagues? Mr. Baines?
Suspend for a second, please.
Sure. We'll suspend for a moment.
So, so we're fine with the amendment, and we're ready to vote on the clause.
The amendment carry then. On division. Thank you, colleagues. So clause 38 carry as amended. Division, wonderful. Thank you. Clause 40, we are returning to debate on clause 40. If I recall, it was one that we wanted to get back to until we saw if previous amendment or if other amendments were going to pass. So we are just back to clause 40. Mr. Housefather?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. My understanding is that the way Clause 40 is drafted, it's removing the number of a section that now is not removed from the Act. So by adopting G6, deleting the other line, then number 40 has to be defeated or should be defeated consequentially, because it's essentially changing two references subject to two subsections to one, and we retain the other subsection. So it would either be consequentially defeated, or I recommend we defeat it. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, let me check with the analysts on that, please. We'll suspend for a moment. I'm checking with our legislative clerks. They advise me procedurally, Clause 40 is okay. Ms. LaRoche and Ms. Stevens may wish to weigh in on legality about it. And if there are issues, it would be best, I understand, that we defeat it. But Ms. LaRoche, Ms. Stevens, did you want to opine?
Certainly. Thank you, Mr. Chair. What Clause 40 does, as Mr. Housefather mentioned, it removes a reference to 19.1 sub 4. That's all that Clause 40 does. And the reason it's in Section 51 of the PSDPA is so that if 19.1 sub 4 comes into play, and that's the prohibition on having another process once you've filed a reprisal, what Section 51 does is say that that does not prohibit the presentation of a grievance or considering or having the Canada Industrial Relations Board consider a complaint under Section 242 of the Canada Labour Code. So I would suggest that those are things that you want to continue to have in place, so you don't want to remove the reference to 19.1 sub 4.
Thank you. Can we move to vote on this, colleagues? Shall Clause 40 carry? We'll do a recorded vote. Shall Clause 40 carry? Madam Clerk?
Yes, sir. Clause 40, Mr. Housefather.
No.
Mr. Baines.
No.
Mr. Jawari.
No.
Mr. Kuzmirchik.
No.
Ms. Thompson.
No.
Mr. Barrett. Ms. Block.
Yay.
Sorry. That was a nay for Mr. Barrett and a yay for Ms.
Yes.
Block? Thank you. Ms. Kuzi.
Yay.
Madame Vignola.
No.
Mr. Johns.
No.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 nays, 2 yays.
I'm sorry. Defeated.
Yes.
And Clause 40 is defeated. Colleagues, we've got 5 minutes left, but we're down to the very simple ones. Shall the short, or shall the, if I could speak properly, maybe we could finish tonight. Shall the short title carry, that title being the Public Sector Integrity Act? On division. The title, G13. Mr. Housefather. G13, colleagues, is just naming the bill, but Mr. Housefather will introduce it. Can we vote on G13?
Introduce, sir.
It's an act to amend the Public Servants Disclosure Protection Act and to make consequential amendments to the Conflict of Interest Act. It's solely a title issue. So G13 carry. Yes, on division. On division. Shall the title carry? As amended.
Thank you, sir.
On division, thank you. Shall the bill as amended carry?
Yes.
On division. Shall the chair report the bill as amended to the House?
Yes.
I'm voting no. Shall the committee order a reprint of the bill as amended for the use of the House at report stage? Yes. On division. Colleagues, that is C290. Before we cheer everyone, can we please special thanks to Ms. LaRoche, Ms. Stevens, and our 2 legislative clerks, Ms. Boyer and Mr. Vave. Thank you for everything. Thank you, Ms. Stevens. Thank you, Ms. LaRoche. Thank you, colleagues. Thanks for everyone who helped make this extra hour or 56 minutes happen. Colleagues, unless there's anything else, we are adjourned. We'll see you tomorrow.